as we take our stand in this present moment of awareness and become aware of everything that's happening, and it becomes more and more obvious in our own direct experience, not just as a theory or as a concept, in our own direct experience, because this is what you want. Your own direct experience, not a theory. You could read in a book 1,000,000 times that the essence of what you are cannot suffer. You could read it over and over again, but if it's not your experience, then it's a theory, it's a concept, it's an idea. You could read about the protein and the nutritional value of those peanuts, or the thirst-quenching potential of the water. You could read all about it. But if you don't drink the water, your thirst will not be quenched. You will not have the experience of having your thirst quenched. If you don't eat the peanuts, if you don't have the chocolate, you will not experience the value of the knowledge that the peanuts exist and they have nutritional value, and the water exists and it has the potential to quench your thirst. So what you want is a direct knowing, a direct experience. It's helpful to have concepts about all of this, but unless you eat the peanuts and drink the water, you'll have no experiential benefit. So this is the value of coming back to this present moment and being aware and having this as our anchor to reality. And from this perspective, we simply become aware of everything that's happening. And we're all aware now, so we can all be aware of everything that's happening. And it becomes more and more obvious to you in your own direct experience that all seeking and suffering is thought-based. It's based in thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations. It's based in a thought story or an emotional story about me and my problems, me and my solutions, me and my relationships, me and my career, me and my all of this, me, myself, and I. It just becomes more and more obvious that all problems, all seeking, all ideas of suffering and seeking and attaining, everything is a movement of mind. So you begin to ask questions because you realize in this present moment, in the present moment of simply being present and aware, there's no problem. In the present moment of reality, right here, right now, it's impossible for me to experience a problem. And I'll talk from my own direct experience, but I hope that you apply it to yourself. Otherwise, it's not helpful. I can drink the water and I can eat the peanuts, and this body will have the benefit of it. But if you don't drink the water, and if you don't, you'll have no benefit. So the only reason to talk about personal experience would be to benefit, for it to be to your benefit. So apply it to yourself and see if it's true. Realizing this in my own direct experience, in your own direct experience, there's this presence of awareness that's here now. And the only time that you have ever suffered, you can inquire into your own experience. And there is no exception to this. Or find out if there is an exception to this. It's up to you. You may notice that the only time that you've ever had any experience of suffering or seeking or a desire to attain anything at all, to attain enlightenment or liberation or awakening or whatever you're interested in, the only time you've ever had a problem and sought a solution is when the mind is engaged, when the intellect arises, when the thought process starts. We can call this process a process of mind. And it becomes glaringly obvious that there is no exception to this. There's no suffering, no seeking, no attaining of enlightenment, or nothing at all apart from this movement of mind. So you notice that in your own direct experience, and then you continue noticing about the content of the movement of mind. You start to notice what's happening specifically, what kind of a thought process, because not all thoughts are of suffering or seeking or attaining. And you also notice the emotional response. So you notice the thought stories and the emotional stories. And from this perspective of being simply present and aware, you notice what's happening in your own direct experience. And you begin to question not only the process of movement of mind, but the content. And you question what you know. You question the reality of what you know. So the thought and the experience of suffering and seeking and attaining and referring to experiences of the past where there was complete peace and bliss, those ideas arise in the form of thoughts and memories and projections in the future and desire and hope that someday you'll stabilize. Whatever your story is, fill in the story. It's your story. So whatever your story is, you can ask questions about it. And what is this? What's the reality of this? If this present moment of conscious presence is my anchor to reality, what is this movement of mind and emotions and suffering and seeking? And what is that? Does it have any reality to it? So you begin to question, and it becomes more and more obvious in your own direct experience that what in the past that you completely believed and experienced as something called suffering, you may notice and you may feel completely comfortable saying there's no such thing. That it doesn't exist. It's all a projection of my own mind, and it refers to a me and I that I took myself to be that has no existence apart from that thought story. So it becomes more and more obvious in your own direct experience that all suffering, all seeking, all ideas of enlightenment that refer to this I, this me, the sense of self, this ego, whatever you want to call it, all of these ideas, all these thought stories and emotional stories, and that are also accompanied by the sensations of the body, because when the emotions and the sensations of the body are involved in the thought story, it becomes very compelling and very seductive. You may notice a simple series of thoughts that are obviously not true, and it's easy to say, well, that's just not true about myself or the world. That's just a silly thought. But when emotions are involved, physical sensations of the body, those thought stories become more seductive, more compelling. And you say, well, those other thoughts, they may not be true. Mm-hmm. But these thoughts, this story, this is real. I can feel it in my stomach, in my chest, in my face, and my whole body feels it. So it must be true. So you begin to even question those experiences. You question all experience. You question everything that you claim to know and experience. And you ask, is this true? And you begin to notice that all knowledge, everything that you believed you know to be absolutely real and true, that you realize, it becomes more and more obvious to you. That all experience, so all knowledge and experience, this is all inclusive. There is nothing apart from this. There are no exceptions to this. But find out for yourself. Find out if there are exceptions to this. It's up to you. If you don't, it's not going to be of benefit. If you don't drink the water, if you don't have the peanuts, you'll have no benefit. You can read about the nutritional value on the back. But if you don't eat them, there'll be no benefit to you. So when you question your own thought stories, your emotional stories, and ask yourself, what's real and what's true about these? What do I know and what do I experience that I know with absolute certainty? This is real, this is true. And you question those thought stories, emotional stories, that were most problematic to you. Or it's up to you. Question whatever you want to question. And when you begin to question the reality of those thought stories and emotional stories about who I am, you question the whole process, even as it's happening, a process of emotional suffering or seeking, whatever has happened, whatever the trigger seems to be, whether it's some sort of a spiritual surge or some sort of a problem in relationship. I mean, this is very practical. Some issue at work, whatever your issue is, you can question it and ask, what is real about this? What do I know? So what knowledge do I have and what experience do I have? So you question your knowledge and you question your experience. What do I know and what do I experience? Because you always experience what you think you know. Whatever you're experiencing is what you think you know to be real and true. This is the nature of experience. You will experience what you believe in. If you believe in Santa Claus, as I did at 6 years old, I experienced Santa Claus. There's Santa Claus. There he is. You can't tell me there's no such thing as Santa. I'm fully experiencing it because I know he's true. He's real. So whatever you're experiencing in the moment is a reflection of what you believe to be real and true and what you believe you know. So you experience what you believe, what you know is true. So you question your knowledge. By questioning your knowledge, you change your experience. So when you question, is there any such thing as Santa Claus? And you maybe ask your older brothers and sisters, your older friends, and you say to your parents, you know what, no more, I need to know. And they say, you know what, it's a myth. There's no Santa Claus. You're like, I knew it. So you're free of that myth. So now you no longer believe in Santa Claus, so you can no longer experience Santa Claus as you did in the past. Now if Santa Claus walks in the room, you experience Santa Claus. You see Santa Claus. Santa Claus doesn't have to stop coming in the room. You know there's no Santa Claus. Santa Claus is welcome. Come and go as you please, Santa. Just let me pull your beard. So by questioning what you believe you know and questioning your experience, you may notice in your own direct experience, and you may feel comfortable saying, there's no such thing as suffering, there's no such thing as seeking, there's no such thing as enlightenment, there's no such thing as awakening, there's no such thing as liberation. There is no independent me, there's no independent ego, apart from this movement of mind. And when the movement of mind, and the central character in this movement of mind, the central character, of course it's you. It's me, myself, and I. You don't care about anyone else. Admit it. You're all caught up in yourself. And this is the nature of the human experience. We're completely caught up in our self-image and who we are and who we take ourselves to be. So by questioning this, what's the reality of what I am? What's the reality of my experience? So what's the reality and truth of my experience and my knowledge? What do I know and what do I experience? Because we're grounded in this present moment of reality, this is our anchor to reality. We're grounded in this present moment of reality. There's this aware presence that's witnessing the show. It's witnessing the movement of mind. There's awareness here now, and everyone is aware here now. And in or as or through this awareness, there's a movement of mind, so it can be questioned, and it becomes more and more obvious because this is the truth of who I am. We're starting from this fundamental truth. This is the truth of who I am. This present moment of aware presence, this witnessing presence, this is the truth of who I am. And it becomes more and more obvious, glaringly obvious, that everything else is a movement of mind. All knowledge and experience, this is all inclusive. There is no exception. Everything you know and experience is a movement of mind. It's based on what you believe to be real and true. What you believe you know is real and true, you will experience as real and true. If this I, this me, this ego, along with its image and the thought story, the emotional story, if that's believed to be real and true, then it will be experienced as real and true. You can't lie to yourself. You can't trick yourself. If you believe in Santa Claus, you will experience Santa Claus as real and true. If you don't believe in Santa Claus, you can't trick yourself. If Santa Claus walks in, I can't trick myself. Oh, he's there. Oh, he's not. If you believe, you will experience it. When you question your beliefs, you can no longer believe in the existence of Santa Claus. You cannot experience Santa Claus. You can't do it. So when you question the existence of this thought story, this ego story of me, myself, and I, around which all of the thought stories, emotional stories revolve, you question the existence of this ego, this me. What is this me that's suffering all the time? What is this me that's seeking, that wants to be enlightened, that had experiences in the past, that wants them again now and wants to maintain them throughout the rest of my life? What is this me? Who am I? And when we're grounded in this present moment of aware presence, it becomes more and more obvious that everything else is a movement of mind. And by questioning the reality and the belief in the ideas of what we know, there's a natural change in experience. Because you can no longer believe that thought stories, no matter how deep they feel, your whole body may be involved, your cheeks may be flush, there may be tension in the muscles, the stomach may be churning. You can no longer believe in the reality, the existence of a separate me, a separate ego. You can no longer believe in the thought story, the emotional story. You can no longer believe of this ego's existence in the past, the present, or the future. You cannot believe, you have no way to know, even to define or describe your present mental or emotional states. Do you see how deep this goes? In any given moment, you have no way to know, apart from your programming, your conditioning, your belief system, your education. You have no way to know what your mental or emotional state is. You have no way to know. You have no way to know what your physical state is. You have no way to know what your mental state, your emotional state, your physical state. You have no way to know, apart from the past, the way you were conditioned, programmed, and apart from your beliefs and what's real and true about who you are. So in my own direct experience, I know in any given point in time, I have no way of knowing what my mental, emotional, or physical states are. I know I have no way to know, and everything that's arising, I realize, is based on my programming, my conditioning, what my parents, my teachers, my culture, my society was told me and programmed me of who I was, who I am. So this is what I experience. You experience what you know to be real and true. And what you know to be real and true is, in my experience, was based on what my parents told me who I was. My teachers, parents, family, teachers, culture, society. All of that goes into the programming and the conditioning of who I am. And I have no other way to experience, because all experience is based on my belief in the knowledge that I have. So when I go to the root of the knowledge of who I am, and it falls apart, it becomes glaringly obvious that I have no way to know who I am. I have no way to know what my mental states are at any given point in time. I have no way to know my emotional states, physical. I have no way to know what is the correct spiritual experience or the incorrect experience. I have no way to know.
If you have a happy thought arise, then how does that relate to what you said about you have no way to know about your...
There's no such thing as a happy thought apart from my knowledge and belief in such a thing as a happy thought. This is all inclusive. There's no such thing as a happy thought until I believe and know there is such a thing as a happy thought, which is different from an unhappy thought or a sad thought. They go together.
Does this have to do with labels?
This is the process of mind. The process of the mind is a process of conditioning, and there's no other way to know or experience. So my parents, my family, my teachers, my culture, my society told me what a happy thought is. Otherwise, how would I recognize it?
That's just a name, perhaps.
There is no experience. I'm talking to the root. You could chop your leg off with a chainsaw. You would not know it unless you were conditioned. There is no knowledge or experience apart. You see how deep? This is absolutely, completely comprehensive. All knowledge and experience. You could chop off my leg with a chainsaw. Unless I know, I have no knowledge or experience of having a leg. Do you see how deep this is? This is all inclusive. That's why I say it's all inclusive. There are no exceptions to this. Prior to conception, there is no experience or knowledge. Right now, your stomach and your digestive system is turning food into flesh, and there's no knowledge of that. It's happening naturally and spontaneously. By no one and to no one. So you realize that all experience, even something as simple as a happy thought, a good thought, relative to a bad thought, there's no such thing, independent of this movement of mind, which is belief in knowledge, which creates experience. So the experience of a happy thought is based on the knowledge of a happy thought. Prior to the knowledge of a happy thought, there's no such thing as a happy thought. There's no such thing as a sad thought. This is prior to good and evil, prior to the mind, prior to cognition. So this is going to the root of all suffering. It's impossible to suffer unless my mind believes in something called suffering and someone who can suffer. There's no such thing as happiness unless my mind knows and believes in something called happiness. Because whatever the experience is a reflection of your knowledge and belief in the reality and truth of all experience. The experience reflects, and that's all inclusive. You don't even know you have a body, only because you were programmed and conditioned. And say, this is a body, it's called Stephen, and it just builds and builds and builds and builds until you can't take it anymore. And then poof, it's gone. And what's left is this anchor to truth, this anchor to the present moment, this reality here and now. And from this perspective, it's known that there is no way to know what's happening. Now, Santa Claus is free to come through this, into this space in this room. Santa Claus can come through. No one will be fooled. Because the process has been seen through. It's realized that was an old belief that created the experience of Santa Claus. So now, happy thoughts and sad thoughts are free to come through. You know there's no happy thought, no sad thought, apart from the belief in the existence of the happy thought or the sad thought. Because you can experience a happy thought or a sad thought or a happy emotional state or an uncomfortable emotional state. All experience, this is all inclusive, all experience is a reflection of this process of mind and knowing and believing in the truth and the reality of mental, emotional, and physical states. So we can say prior to the mind, there's pure perception, with no knowledge. It's pure experience and not even knowing that it's experience. This is why we can say that awareness is not, it can't be labeled. This is why words begin to make sense, like what we are is nameless, timeless, spaceless. It can't be pointed to. Which way would you point? It can't suffer. What's aware of suffering? It can't be happy. What's aware of the happiness? So what's aware, this present moment, this anchor of reality that we are, has no no way to experience apart from knowledge. Experience is knowledge and belief. And when knowledge and belief of all, even the happy thought is questioned. Is there any such thing as a happy thought apart from your programming, your conditioning? You'd have no way to recognize a happy thought. As a 2-year-old baby, you don't know, you have no knowledge of happiness versus sadness, and you don't care. There's no one even to care. There's pure consciousness.
So is your experience...
My experience is Santa Claus can come in, and I know there's no Santa Claus, but I still see Santa Claus, and I can pull his beard. Happy thoughts come through. You can take the example, the metaphor of Santa Claus, and apply it to all experience. So everything is happening naturally and spontaneously. So happy thoughts come through. Sad thoughts come through, but I know they have no existence apart from my own belief in them. So I don't need to change sad thoughts into happy thoughts.
So they come through and you're aware of them, you just don't give them any meaning.
There's no one who gives anything any meaning.
Okay.
You never get identified.
There's no such thing as me who gets identified. Even that is a Santa Claus. All knowledge and experience, whatever you say, whatever you ask me about my experience, and this applies to yourself.
Well, it appears here that identification happens.
Yes, it does appear. Now you can question that. I know there's no such thing as identification. There is no identification. It's a movement of mind.
Oh.
Until you say there's identification, then there's a... See, this applies to all knowledge and experience. This is so absolutely... This is all comprehensive. There is nothing you can say... If you say an experience that there is separation and identification, that's your experience. You experience separation and identification. That's your experience. So now you know that there's a belief that separation and experience, because experience is a reflection. It doesn't create anything. The experience doesn't create anything. It's a reflection of knowledge and belief. So, see, I cannot believe in anything such as identification.
You have no knowledge, no beliefs like that left. Or
Santa Claus is welcome to come in. I see everything. I see the ideas of identification can come in. They have no meaning or value until this mind believes them. And then it becomes the experience. But see, I'm aware of everything. And so are you. And what you're aware of is you're aware of your experience. And your experience is a reflection of knowledge and belief, which is the process of mind. So this is the power of coming back to the present moment of reality. This is the anchor to reality that you know with absolute certainty there is something present and aware right now. So this is why many of the traditions have referred to as this is the truth, the ultimate truth. This present moment of aware presence is the truth of what I am. I am this. This is why it's referred to as the truth, because it can't be denied. It's not a product of mind. There's presence of awareness here now. So you know, you always come back to this fundamental truth that I am, that you are. We come back to this fundamental truth. Now this is my reference point to truth. This is the truth. There is presence of awareness here now. This is the truth. From this truth, you watch everything, so to speak. Now this is just an idea of watching, witnessing, whatever you want to call it. But it's effective because you come back to this truth that we are. This present moment of awareness is the truth that we are. And begin to watch what's happening. So whatever you're interested in, if you're interested in enlightenment, look at that process of mind and you'll notice something. There's this presence of awareness that's here now, that's simply present and aware. From this truth, become aware of everything that's happening, whatever's happening. If there's an experience of identification and separation, then you question that. What is this identification? What is this separation? And from this truth that I am, it becomes obvious that it's a movement of mind. It's an idea that I am whoever I am, and that the truth of who I am is here, and the ego of who I am is here, That's all a movement of mind. None of that is actually happening. And you'll notice this in your own experience. So you can no longer believe in the idea of separation. You cannot believe in the idea of identification because you've questioned it out of existence. All knowledge and experience is known to be a movement of mind. And I have no way to know or experience anything apart from this movement of mind, which is based on my conditioning. And a lot of this, and you may have read, would be a lot of spiritual conditioning, talking about ego and separation, and you are that, and I am this, and the whole thing. So we have all these ideas of identification. Okay, there's such a thing as identification, I read, and I need to be free of it. There's such a thing as an ego, and I need to be free of ego. There's such a thing as awareness apart from me, and I need to become this. When we take our stand in this present moment, this reality, there's this aware presence here now, and say, this is the only truth that I know with absolute certainty. There's this awareness here now. This is the truth of who I am. And you begin to notice a movement of mind, and it cannot stand up to the simplest of investigation. The idea of identification and ego, suffering, it cannot stand up to this simple presence of awareness that's aware of it. It's seen to be a joke. And you realize there is no such thing as identification. There's no such thing as suffering. There's no ego. There's no me. There's no you. There's no us, no them. Apart from this movement of mind, there's no Santa Claus. Until this mind believes and knows Santa Claus, then it experiences Santa Claus. So if the idea and experience of separation and identification, that's a clue, because what you experience, if you experience separation and identification, then it's known that you believe in separation, because you cannot experience something you don't believe in. And how to get to the root of belief is by questioning, is this real? Is this true? How do I know this is real? Did I just read this? Or how do I know? What is the truth? So these ideas begin to fall. They cannot stand up to a simple investigation. And what becomes more and more obvious is the truth that the spiritual traditions have pointed to, and that is this present moment of aware presence is the truth of what I am and nothing else. So you're just left present and aware here and now. This is the truth of what I am. Everything else is illusion. Everything else is Santa Claus. Now the only experience we have is we experience a reality. So reality, the reality of my experience is also illusion. Illusion and reality are the same thing. There's no difference between reality and illusion. When Santa Claus walks in here, whatever I believe about him is what I experience. So if I believe he's real, it's not illusion. There's a real Santa Claus there. This is my experience. See, there's no objective reality out there. Nothing exists apart from this process of mind. So whatever you are experiencing is a reflection of what you know and believe. And there is no other experience. It's very common, you've probably all heard it, I hear it quite often, is, okay, I know that I am this awareness. When I have this sense of presence, there's a sense of peace and a sense of well-being, a sense of everything is fine. It's not uncommon. People become aware of the fact that they're aware. And then they have periods of time where they're aware of the awareness in the sense of everything is fine just as it is, I have no problems, I don't need anything. There's a sense of a connection, a sense of being balanced, a sense of being in harmony, that sense of just being present and aware. Those are all sort of attributes of this present moment, just being present and aware. There's no problems here and now. That's not uncommon. It's quite common in spiritual circles, becoming aware of being aware. And then what happens in many cases is then we want to turn to that as an experience. So when problems arise, so we say maybe we have 3 or 4 days where there's a sense of peace and well-being, a sense of being present and aware. A natural relaxation response happens in the mind and body. So maybe you had that for a few minutes, a few hours, a few days, a few weeks, a few months, some people. And then that experience goes. And they're back into the mind, and they say, well, I lost it. I had it for a few days. So this is why it's important to address the content of awareness, the process of mind, and to address experience and knowledge, to know what it is. Because otherwise, every time an experience comes up that you call uncomfortable, or an experience that you find comfortable, I like this experience, I want more peace and more presence, and I don't like this uncomfortable experience. Every time an uncomfortable experience will arise, there will be a desire to run away from it, to be aware of being, okay, what did I do last time? Okay, I meditated, or I focused, I concentrated, I was aware of being aware. Okay, what do I do? What do I do? Do you see how that's running away from experience? So this is why I'm talking about the importance of understanding the nature of experience. So there's no need to run away from experience. There's no need to stop Santa Claus from coming in. Santa Claus represents all experience, happiness and sadness, peace and well-being and uncomfortable experience. Santa Claus represents all experience. There's no need to lock the door when we see Santa. We don't have to run when we see Santa Claus. He's welcome to come in because we know he has no existence apart from our belief, our knowledge and belief of Santa Claus. So when experiences of peace and well-being or happiness on one hand, or discomfort and dis-ease, when those experiences arise, in the past, the habit may have been, for those who have recognized awareness, run away from the experience and say, no, I don't want that, I want to be aware, I want to be present and aware. So do you see the importance of understanding the process of experience and knowledge? This is why I can say, experience doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter what experience is happening. Experience is a reflection of the beliefs that I have, that were programmed in. See, there's no one who has beliefs. There's no one doing it. We're completely interrelated and interdependent. So whatever beliefs are arising, so if Santa Claus comes in and is believed to be real and true, the mind knows, oh, this is the appearance of Santa Claus. But it's known that there is no Santa Claus. It's illusion, and at the same time there is Santa Claus, because it's the reality of my experience. But I know it's both reality and illusion. See, there's no objective reality out there that someday is going to come to you. Whatever your mind says is real and true is real and true. This is the importance of understanding the nature of experience and knowledge. This is the importance of understanding the nature of mind, because mind is experience and knowledge. Otherwise, you'll continue to run away from experience, or try to grasp onto the pleasant experiences and avoid the unpleasant. But when you understand, your mind is running away from itself. When there are unpleasant experiences and your mind says, okay, meditate, become aware, or whatever process you may have used in the past, you realize that your mind is trying to run away from itself. Your mind is the process that creates the uncomfortable experience called, this is an uncomfortable experience. There is no uncomfortable experience apart from that process of mind. So do you see there's nowhere for you to run? There's nowhere for you to hide. It's all mind. So this is the absolute peace that is independent of experience, because everything is known to be a movement of your own mind.
Everything.
You find some experience apart from knowledge and belief. You find it. I can find nothing. See, I already ate the peanuts and drank the water, if I may be so bold. I've already drinking the water. I already know for myself. I'm not interested in the theories. When you apply it to yourself, then it's possible to be completely free of suffering and completely free of seeking, completely free of enlightenment. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as an uncomfortable experience until this mind believes in it. So it's not the denial that different experience is different, but it has no meaning, value, or purpose apart from my beliefs and my knowledge of the experience. So do you see how this is absolute freedom? Because knowing the reality of yourself as this present moment of awareness, what can bother me apart from my own mind, labeling, defining, and describing? And I've already deconstructed my mind. I have no way to know anything at all. I have no way to know what happiness is. I have no way to know what sadness is, apart from my programming. I've been deprogrammed. Now I'm simply present and aware. Now the programming continues to function. But it doesn't matter anymore. You don't have to ban Santa Claus. You don't have to ban the variations of energy in the body. The energy in the body comes through. nothing needs to change. Everything is just seen and known as an experience, and there's a natural flow of experience that happens in the human experience through this consciousness that we are. There's pleasure, there's pain, there's all of these things, but you know this is my own mind. So do you see how it may become more and more obvious to you that you can say that there is nothing exists apart from me. I am everything that exists. You see how you can say that? Because all relative experience is myself, my own mind, and the awareness is myself. So in absolute terms, there's this aware presence, that's myself, and in relative terms, the changing experience of mentally, emotionally, and physically, that's my own mind. So everything is myself. I have no way to experience anything apart from this mind and this own world. So it's all me. The universe is me. This is all inclusive and absolute. There are no exceptions. Everything is myself. What do I need to change? I am everything. I am happiness and I am sadness. I'm everything. It's all me.
So there's no preference. There's no preference.
Even if there is a preference, preferences are a reflection of a belief and a knowledge that this is bad, this is good. See, everything is happening naturally and spontaneously, by no one and to no one, or by everyone and to everyone. Preferences are your programming, so you'll experience preferences. The experience of preferences are a reflection of the knowledge and belief. This is good, that's bad. All experience is a reflection of this process of mind. All experience. So there's no need to change experience. Experience is seen as a mirror of what you take to be real and true.
So if I have an experience of like non-self, I can't find, everything seems to be the same. That's another experience based on some programming.
Find out for yourself. This is the value of drinking the water yourself, having the peanuts yourself. Otherwise, it's just a theory. So there's no suggestion that you should just believe this. That would just, you can't trick yourself. You can't trick yourself into believing something. If you experience things as having existing, if you experience something as a good experience or a bad, you can't trick yourself and say, well, I heard or read in a book that, you can't trick yourself. So when the experience arises, you know it as a reflection of knowledge and belief. In knowledge and belief, you'll notice, is programming, conditioning. And it becomes more and more obvious because, and you can look across various cultures all over the world and how the same, what appears to be the same objective experience happening here can be perceived and conceived completely differently. So it becomes so obvious that there is no objective experience out here that's common to all. It's all subjective. All experience is subjective. So this is absolute freedom from all experience. There is no correct experience or incorrect experience. You couldn't possibly experience the correct thing or the incorrect thing. It's all a reflection of knowledge and belief, which is the process of mind, which is all conditioning, either biological conditioning, the natural desire to survive and reproduce, is the natural biological conditioning of the biology, and then the psychology is based on our family, friends, teachers, culture, society, all of the human experience, and we're completely interrelated and interdependent. It's not like anyone could have their own conditioning. We all participate in this conditioning and programming each other. This present moment of aware presence is our anchor to the truth and the reality. So this is absolute freedom beyond all experience, and the absolute peace that is independent of experience.